Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Jonathan and I look at tech companies for investors. And today I'm going to be having a look at Airbnb. Now, Airbnb IPO'd in December of 2020, and I'm going to break down some reasons why I think it might actually be quite a good long-term investment. But before I actually get into that, I just want you to know that this is not investment advice. Do not base any buying or selling decisions on the content of this video. Please do extensive research before you buy any stocks or shares in any company. Now, I will link any of the documentation that I show in this video down below so that you can actually go and have a look for yourself. We are in 2021 and last year in particular was quite a hard year for Airbnb. Now, I'm going to go over some of their revenue and I'm going to explain to you that before the whole coronavirus pandemic happened and air and travel was just shut down for almost an entire year. In fact, I think at this stage it's almost a year. It was actually showing some pretty good revenue increases. So this is the revenue over the past, 4 years leading up to 2019, so starting at 2015. In 2015, they made 919 million. 2016, that went up to 1.6 billion. 2017, that went up to 2.5 billion. 2018, that went up to 3.6 billion. And 2019, that went up to 4.8 billion. So they saw quite a substantial growth in revenue. Now, this is the form that they submitted with the SEC, so I will link it down below so you can actually go and have a look at this yourself. The other thing I want to have a look at is their net loss. 2015, they posted a net loss of about 135 million. Then in 2016, it was 147, so they were still growing and they were still pushing. And then between 2016 and 2018, their net loss decreased. So they actually went to 70 million to 16 million while the revenue still increased. Now in 2019 they posted quite a high net loss, but from what I could find, this actually had a lot to do with extra marketing they were doing. Bear in mind at this stage it was a private company, so it doesn't actually have to tell us what it spent that money on. From what I could find, this increase in expense came from extra marketing that they did in 2019. The most compelling evidence I could find for this was to do with their difference in expense between 2019 and 2020. They had a decrease of 54% in sales and marketing between 2019 to 2020, which equals about $639 million. For 2020, Airbnb had a horrible time with the whole coronavirus pandemic, but it also saw an influx of cash of about 3.4 billion. Due to the fact that it was pretty much bleeding cash because it couldn't really afford to keep up operations while no one was actually allowed to go anywhere. The most recent estimates that they filed in terms of their losses ended in September of 2020, and they reported a loss of 696.865 million. Each quarter, they averaged a loss of 232.288 million. Every single quarter. So to get an idea for how much they lost, I'm going to add what they lost for the first 3 quarters with one average of a quarter loss. So that is 696.865 million, add 232.288 million. That gives you the grand total of 929.159 million. So they reported almost $1 billion in losses for 2020, give or take a few hundred million. Now that actually sounds quite bad, but with their recent influx of about 3.4 billion, they would actually be able to continue operations with the same circumstances, kind of with 2020, for about 3.7 years. Maybe give or take a few months. That's just me dividing 3.4 billion with 929.159 million, which adds up to just under 3.7 years. Airbnb is really highly priced just now. It's got a market cap of almost 110 billion, but it's just about to report losses of $1 billion for 2020. That is pretty much just kind of the market we live in at the moment. Now that figure isn't necessarily based on how it performed last year. It's based on how it has performed over the past few years and also how it could perform in the next 5 years. Now I want to explain a couple of situations where Airbnb could really come out on top. Now, one of the most important things that you actually have to understand about investing and pretty much the global economy is that it goes through ups and downs. And when it goes through a massive up, which I think we are in and can't really be denied at the moment, where you have companies that aren't really necessarily reporting good revenue, but they are massively overpriced. It was the same in the dot-com bubble of 2001, and it was the same in the global recession of 2008. People get caught up in the hype, and when things actually start to go wrong, a lot of people lose a lot of money, and in some situations, a lot of people lose their jobs. And when you have a lot of people losing their jobs and stuck in these houses that they can't actually afford anymore, maybe using Airbnb to rent out a room in this house could be a lifeline for a lot of people. People look for ways to make money when they don't have a job, and if they are stuck in a house that they were able to afford when they had this high paying job, when they had a lot of interest and dividends coming from their portfolio, as soon as they don't have that, they have to make up the deficit. And Airbnb could actually help a lot of people do that. So when the market crashes, Airbnb has the potential to help people either make more money or just kind of keep surviving. Now, this actually stands in really good stead for Airbnb because it also kind of shows that it might actually be able to survive a global recession. Now, bear in mind, this is just speculation and it's my own speculation, so don't take my word on it. But it could survive. The other situation is that when Corona ends, people are going to want to start traveling again. I don't know about you, but I've pretty much been stuck in the house for the past year, and I would actually quite like to go traveling again. And you have so many people who haven't actually spent a lot of money on traveling over the past year or two, where they have the opportunity to go on holiday or spend a bit more. And in that situation, Airbnb could be highly profitable. So you can buy Airbnb now for the current price, and when interest starts to pick up in travel companies again, you could potentially profit on the influx of interest in buying Airbnb and travel companies. But bear in mind, this is all speculation. It has the potential to also drop quite significantly because other people could also have this idea, and then you will have a massive kind of supply and demand issue. You'll have had all of these people look at investing in travel companies before travel became popular again, and then the price just plummets because all of them try and sell at the same time. Now, it could actually be quite a good long-term investment because it survived possibly the worst conditions it could ever have. Even in a global recession, people were still allowed to travel and people were still allowed to go into other people's homes. But during this corona pandemic, travels pretty much came to a standstill, and you're not allowed to be within 1 or 1.5 meters distance of people in most countries. So if it can survive Corona, it can pretty much survive anything. And the fact that it proved and it showed consistent revenue growth over the period between about 2015 and 2019, excluding expenses, of course, and how much it lost, it actually showed that it could be profitable in the future. So let me know what you think in the comment sections down below. If you think Airbnb is a good long-term investment, or if you just think it's a bit too overpriced at the moment. But I do hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, I would really appreciate if you liked the video. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time.